Hello, everybody. Welcome. Big stream for you today. There's some breaking news, and who am I but a humble speaker of the truth for the people? Huge update. We're gonna let people get in here, but we got a few people that are gonna be joining us today to try and help us break this down. We have, of course, Leroy Truth Investigations. Leroy.
Yeah.
Leroy.
Yeah. What's up?
We're live.
I'm eating eggs.
We're live, Leroy.
I worked out.
Right, but we're live right now.
Is there a law against, or it's a policy against eating eggs in this live stream, I guess. All right. I'll take one more bite and we'll get started. All right.
Great. And also I'd like to welcome Rhonda. She runs a YouTube channel, and also she's a investigative journalist called Main Journal News. However, more so than that, Rhonda is actually a selectman in a town in Maine. A lot of the stuff that we're experiencing is the behavior of a rather rabid select person. So I wanted to have someone who trains their employees the right way, who makes sure that you, the people, receive the best possible service from her staff. And we actually went to her place of work and were able to audit in there. And what we got was actually quite interesting. So welcome, Leroy. Welcome, Rhonda. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for
Hey,
having
Josh,
me.
I'm having a headphone problem, so I'm going to run down and grab a new set, and I'll be right back.
Okay, no worries. So what I'm going to do while she's doing that is I'm going to just start this off by watching a quick couple seconds of the first Ridgefield interaction, most recently Leroy's interaction, and then I'm going to tell you about the new law. I was just on with Fox News earlier. There's a new law, guys. It's going to be illegal to film in Ridgefield if you are an auditor, if you are a YouTuber, or if you plan to make money. So let's just jump right into this. We're going to get everyone up to date and show you real quickly this first video. So let's take a look at this first video. We'll read the article. NYPD officers caught having sex in car after residents hear screams, report says. 2 New York City police officers were caught having loud sex in a car parked outside Brooklyn precinct after neighbors overheard a woman screaming. The New York Post reported that the officers were found naked in the car after a concerned caller called for hot and heavy cries and then called the police. The tryst allegedly took place around 1:30 a.m. Oh, wait, that's not the article that we're focusing on right now.
Was that Ridgefield or was that NYPD?
No, that's NYPD.
Oh, yeah. I get it confused all the time.
Okay, so I guess if you want to check out that article, yeah, instead of protecting and serving, they were protecting and servicing. Let's get on to the reason that we're actually here. So let me, Rhonda's back. Let me bring up the video of Ridgefield so you guys can see it, get you quickly up to date as to what's going on, and then we'll talk about this order, this law. How are you?
Filming me?
I'm sorry?
Are you filming me?
Yeah.
Shut it off. Please shut it off. I don't want to film.
Shut it off? No, we can't shut it off.
Listen, get out of here. No, I'm not kidding.
There's National Grinch Day. There's National Grinch Day today. Is that to
You know what? Can you please shut that off?
No, it's silly.
What do you mean no? Get out of here. Listen.
Be serious right now. Hello. So they're celebrating National Grinch Day at 4:15 in the town hall steps. Are you the
Can
Grinch
you
this
get
year?
out of here now? You know
Ma'am,
what? I'm going to hit the panic button.
you're gonna hit the panic button?
Yeah, can you get out? Get out!
Oh, ma'am, it's not gonna be good. Don't do that. You're gonna look very. Oh. All right, ma'am. All right. You're gonna have to call someone now. Unfortunately, she's in trouble. If she's willing to apologize, I won't press charges.
Okay, that's very kind of you. I appreciate that.
It's Christmas.
So the apology's not gonna happen. Okay. So,
Steps for.
yeah, so she misdemeanor assault, which is basically a court appearance.
Okay. All right, guys. So we have that, and then we go to the most recent meeting that Leroy Truth Investigations had when he went there. The behavior was, of the same caliber. Let's take a look.
Maybe they realized that wall, the barrier was erected
to protect the public.
Yeah,
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a joke.
Yeah.
You're putting on your door. Just took a picture of it. Why would you do that?
It's humor.
Can you run your camera?
Do what?
Run your camera, please?
Yeah.
Why, is this fair? This is.
It was humorous.
No.
Yeah.
It was a
You don't
joke.
like humor. You questioned me laughing before.
You
Can I have that picture?
no, you were actually
It was on our door.
actually laughing.
You
You were
put
laughing when I was asking
a
a serious question.
disgusting sign on our door, took a picture of it, and you're gonna put it on YouTube to make us be something we are not. How dare you do that?
How dare you?
Out.
She assaulted
I'm done.
that
I'm done.
that
You guys-
photographer. She assaulted that photographer.
Humor
You put a
She-
sign on our door.
And now
took a
you're
picture
deciding
of it.
you're getting intimidating, trying to
You're done.
intimidate me, get into my space.
You're right. I'm very nice to a certain extent. That was totally unfair.
You know what wasn't
That
fair?
is
Let me
sensational.
It's Josh getting hit by a
Quiet.
worker.
I'm
No, I'm
speaking.
not being quiet. That is ridiculous. Who do you think you are? Who do you think
You
you
know I
are?
am.
Yeah, a person that condones violence in Ridgefield, Connecticut. That's who you are. Rules for thee, not for rules for thee, not for me. That is exactly what we have experienced here today.
Do not put a sign
Rules
on
for
my
thee,
door
not for
that
me.
refers to animals.
Get out of my
Take a
space.
picture of it.
You just hit me.
I hate your camera.
You just hit it again.
Get the hell out of here.
So now I was assaulted twice by first selectman Rudy Marconi.
No, you weren't. You're a liar.
You just acknowledged on film that you hit my camera.
Liar. I hate your camera. I hate your camera. I hate your camera. I hate your camera. Liar. How dare you?
You just said it on
It's
camera.
all sensationalism. I hate your camera.
You just said it on, you just said it on
It
camera.
was
And
humor.
let the public call me. Call me and have a conversation with me.
Yeah, call
Call
the
and ask
assaulter, the
what they
person
did
who
on our
allowed
door,
Patricia
took a
Pacheco
picture
to
of it
assault someone,
to fool
and she
you.
still works here.
To fool the public. And I know
And
you're not
then
going
he
to run
assaulted
this.
me. He
You're
twice,
gonna cut to
twice
pieces.
he hit
I
my
know what
camera,
You're gonna do.
which I am
Can you get
holding.
your phone? You have your phone? Why don't you take a picture of this?
I have an important message from 1999 George Clooney on how to deal with humor that you don't like.
If you get mad, you need to step back and count to 10. And if you can't get over your anger, get help.
Wow, sensational journalism there by Leroy Truth Investigations and the creepy piano playing. I'm beside myself. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, Rhonda, can you tell us a little bit about who you are, where you're at, what you do for work?
Sure. I had a career in the legal field. I was a director of administration for a Boston law firm before we came up to Maine after my husband's illness. I am a selectman in the town of Sydney. And I also, because I like to save money for the town, I do not take a salary, though I am able to. I figure it's a civic duty. I also run a conservative news media up here in Maine called Maine Journal News. I don't have a lot of YouTube videos yet, but I am planning on adding a few more. And I just want to go back to Rudy saying to call him. I did call him and I emailed him and he never got back to me.
So,
You know, Rhonda, also, when I first saw the video of Josh, I called him and emailed him and left him messages, and he didn't get back to me either. I literally had to go there to communicate with him. It's egregiously, he doesn't have any respect for the people, for the public whatsoever. Proof is in our experience.
Well, you didn't play a song that he could sing along to.
Exactly. You would have had to do a major Grinch song, Josh, for him to be.
and this is Rhonda's channel. For those of you who aren't subscribed, before I get into this big article and this law that's going to be passed, I wanted everyone to check it out. It's Maine Journal News. Rhonda is an example of what a public servant is and should aspire to be. She could get a salary. She doesn't take it. She has a background in the legal field. She reached out to me a couple weeks ago, and then I showed up. I didn't even tell her or her employees that I was going to be showing up. I showed up with Leroy, and it went perfect. I mean, her staff was welcoming, kind, friendly. That was how things should be. And that video is going to be coming out Sunday. So now you have one select person, being Rhonda, contacting another select person, being Rudy, to say what's going on here. And Rudy doesn't have any answers. He doesn't have any answers for his constituents. He doesn't have answers for his community. He doesn't have answers for his peers. And for all intents and purposes, that's what Rhonda is. She's one of his peers. She's out there doing the right thing, and she's doing it consistently. And he doesn't want to recognize that. So I think it's important that we notice that. Now, when you're seeing this type of behavior, Rhonda, if someone came into your city hall, I know we did, removing that, did he handle the situation correctly?
No, he did practically everything wrong, including after the altercation where he went on, he did a media blitz and made it out as though he were the victim and sort of mocked what you were doing. And as we all know, our constitutional rights are super important for us. We have to have them, especially the First Amendment. And just going back to Rudy before I forget, because I'm like a squirrel with ADD some days. As a selectman in my town, if we want to do major repairs, even minor repairs, if we just want to get the ball fields plowed, we have to put that work out to bid, and we have to get bids. We have to review the bids at a open select board meeting, and then we award the bid to whichever contractor gives the best price materials. So it's really surprising to me that Rudy was able to get that work done so quickly. And I don't know what Ridgefield's, rules on sending work out to bid, but it seems very odd to me, at least as the way we do it in Sydney, that he had that work done, and it does not seem as though there would have been nearly enough time to have proper bids put out. And for $200,000 worth of work, I'm pretty shocked that he did that.
Well, that seems to be what we keep noticing in Ridgefield, is that, they just have to dig their heels in more. They're the gift that keeps on giving when you talk about tyranny and what's wrong with America. And when you have a Fox News contributor reaching out to me wanting to get my story and talk about it and make me aware of what's being passed, it's because I would say, and I'll throw it out there, I think that they got something to hide. Now, this is the name of the article. Rhonda, have you read it yet?
I read it just before I came on here. I started looking a little. I didn't have a lot of time to read up on this, but I'm right on the face of it. A law like that seems unconstitutional to me.
But one thing also is that so much of the time, the people who are attracted, and you are certainly the exception, Rhonda, I'm so happy to know you, but so many people who do go into public service, unfortunately, are narcissists and psychopaths. And the only people who did anything wrong in this situation was Rudy and Patricia. They're the only ones who were aggressive, who actually did physical assault, and were incredibly unprofessional and animal-like. But they are literally not taking any responsibility and trying to make it our fault, when of course we did nothing wrong whatsoever.
Nothing.
So let's jump into this article, and either one of you feel free to interrupt me at any point. But the First Amendment's not allowed if you make money. Like I said, guys, if you are a YouTuber, if you're a First Amendment auditor, or if what you're filming could make money, then your First Amendment rights are no longer valid. So the title of this is They Make Money Videotaping Officials, Why and How Some CT Leaders Want to Stop Them. There's Patricia Pacheco in all her glory. Then you have Sean from Long Island Audits being accosted by another city official. Let's just dive right into the article. Ridgefield, public officials are considering. Someone's got some feedback. I'm gonna mute mics, and when one of you guys want to just jump in this article, just hit the. Actually, why don't you guys mute mics, and when you want to jump in, just jump right back in. Just hit the mute button. Ridgefield, public officials are considering ways to react legislatively to a growing group of people who consider themselves First Amendment rights activists and make money by creating YouTube videos of themselves walking into town halls and other public offices unannounced and taping them. While the YouTubers say they are defending the constitutional rights of all and performing a service that helps the community, many officials and employees say the activists' actions disrupt their workplaces. In local incidents, police have been called, and sometimes officials or the YouTubers get arrested or get into legal trouble. And now state and town leaders are considering legislative action. In the meantime, experts are weighing in on how these activists test their First Amendment right and are advising town employees on how to react when faced with an individual who is videotaping their every move. I can't just march in on my schedule and expect everybody to stop what they're doing and grab a file and sit down to talk with me, said Neil Marcus, an attorney for Cohen and Wolf and Danbury, who serves as counsel for Ridgefield and other municipalities. There's no purpose in denying people their First Amendment rights with respect to the operation of government, but you can't operate a government without having some rules and regulations. Marcus noted this is a new phenom. So we need to have rules and regulations, folks. When it comes to the First Amendment to the United States Constitution, we absolutely 100%, without a shadow of a doubt, need to have rules and regulations. Now, there's also going to be a clip from...
I have something to add about Mark. Mark is creating a false equivalency there. He is in a private law firm, so it's not the same as entering a public place and videotaping. So he's doing apples to oranges there, and that's not an accurate comparison as far as I'm concerned.
Here's something else too, is that they're making it as if we auditors come in and demand things over and above whatever the public would ask for. And for the most part, we just come in to film. And I know Josh and I, we're friendly. We say hello. Some auditors just are completely silent. And the only disruption that occurs to their daily work is what they do when they have issue with us exercising our First Amendment right. And they're completely distorting this and turning it upside down in this article to make it like we are going in and demanding things. You know, maybe a FOIA request, which any person from the public can do. The only difference is we happen to have a camera with us.
I agree 100%. Now, also, what is the video, Leroy, that you did where you played a police clip? You played a clip of the police officer explaining what people's rights were. Do you remember which video that was?
Yeah,
that's going to be important. Which one was
and
that?
That was the chief of police of Ridgefield, point blank saying.
Which video in your channel though was that? That
wasn't in that video. The one it was a little later on in that video that you showed the clip of.
The one that we just played. I thought so. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So I want to just kind of fast forward and set our brakes on that because we're going to need to go back to that in a second. Do you remember where it was in that video?
I don't remember. I think it was a little bit past where you were. And it was a section that David Schuster had done. But it's very crucial to this whole story, everybody, because...
No, but I mean, just the clip of when Lieutenant Rain says, oh, they shouldn't, they can be filming in town hall. It's public space.
Right. And it's very important to all of this because he spoke the truth and said anyone has a right to film in public space. But he's changing his tune now.
Can you maybe just get a timestamp while I read into this? Because it's going to be important for us to bring that part up.
I will find it.
Moving on, of all my municipal and legal experience, I've never heard of this happening until very recently, he said. This is an evolving area of law. We're just beginning to see the issue and look into how to come up with a response that respects the rights under the First Amendment. So this is a lawyer who's only just started seeing this. This is a new area of law, but he's already lended his expertise on how to restrict your rights. He wants to respect your rights under the First Amendment, but let's look at the list of restrictions that he has. Yet at the same time, the need to allow an orderly function of government. The government serves the people. State Representative Pat Callahan, Republican from New Fairfield, said the state is looking into legislation that would prohibit the recent behavior towns have been seeing while still protecting their rights. I don't know how you restrict the First Amendment while still allowing it. It's kind of like a police officer assaulting a citizen for the citizen's safety. That doesn't make much sense. If someone is going into public offices and creating a disturbance so they can put it online and then get YouTube ads and hits off it and using it to generate income for themselves, then that can be a reason to be able to stop them. Callahan said. I have a real problem if this guy is in any type of government. This absolute fuckknuckle and buffoon sits in the House of the Representatives, and he's saying, if you make money, okay, so I don't understand. How is anyone going to conduct an interview in there? Fox, MSNBC, even independent journalists. Everyone makes money for the most part. So here's where we start saying where the Constitution is allowed. And, Ridgefield has decided that they are the arbiters of what is and what is not free speech, when you can and you cannot exercise that free speech. And that's part of it. If what you're doing could make money, then I'm sorry, if you look like an asshole, then that's on you. It's not my fault that I might get paid for it. My main concern would be that you should start behaving yourself.
I do have something to add to that real quickly. I consider the people who go out as independent journalists. I'm an independent journalist. I've gone out and worked under the First Amendment. And I think it's kind of crazy that they have a problem with journalists being paid. Fox gets paid, CBS gets paid, all of the local reporters get paid. It's as far as I'm concerned, it's nothing different than a journalist at mainstream media or an independent journalist. They're all journalists. They all get paid in some ways or another. So for him to complain that people are getting paid for bringing issues to light, again, I'm trying to be judicious here, but he's talking out of his ass.
This is what he normally does, and he continues to do ass talking, as Rhonda so eloquently put it. He added getting a bill adopted may happen in the legislative session as early and become law by October 1st or January 1st. They go on to talk about YouTuber visits. The YouTubers perform what they call audits of their their access to public buildings by recording video of their visits, often on just a smartphone, and posting the videos on social media where they can earn money based on the ad revenue of their videos. Scalzo Photo, let's go up. Hold on. Scalzo Photo, what's up, buddy? Thanks so much, man. And this seems to be the largest issue here, is that we could make money. So if you make money off of it, then the First Amendment does not apply. I'm not sure how Rudy or Callahan plan to argue this, but every single news media conglomerate is going to have to shut down to start obeying this rule. If you make money, you can't be American. If you're an activist, you can't be American, and you don't get certain rights. Some of the YouTubers are acquainted with one another and support each other, said Josh Abrams, whose visit to Ridgefield Town Hall in December led one town employee to be charged with disorderly conduct. Charges against her were later dropped. That visit sparked two later incidents with YouTubers at Ridgefield Town Hall, with another cameraman visiting Mallory Town Hall in Sherman. Police were called. Additionally, a YouTuber who audited Danbury City Hall, they're talking about Sean, still faces trespassing charges. A YouTuber who calls himself David Miranda, they're talking about Good Guy Audits. Citizens have the right to record government officials in the course of their daily duties, he said. Their job is to serve the public. Standing before town employees unannounced, regardless of what they happen to be working on, is not a disruption, he said. How can it be a disruption if I am their job, he said. If they were on the phone or handling paperwork and they see a member of the public standing there waiting to be serviced, they got to know how to do multiple things at the same time. Now they want to help you in remembering your rights, folks. Ridgefield is ever changing and ever evolving, and they always want to make sure that the people of their community are serviced. So now they're going to help you remember your rights that they're trying to restrict. The purpose of developing legislation would not be to preclude First Amendment rights, Marcus said. Rather, it would be to allow the transaction of ordinary business of the town without reasonable interruptions, he said. Well, just to be perfectly honest, so everyone has a real healthy understanding of this, any law that abridges the Constitution is unconstitutional in its very concept. Me filming cannot be disorderly. Me filming cannot deter them from their daily business or to elicit a trespass from them. So this lawyer that has no idea about auditing or what the rights entail or this new phenomenon, it's brand new to him, is very quick to break down what your rights are and how quickly he can violate them. There are two things that are being confused here. One is your First Amendment rights, which I believe in 100%. And I don't know any town hall or municipal or government agency that's going to try and deny people legitimate exercise of a First Amendment right, period, Marcus said. Well, that really depends. It depends on what they feel is a legitimate exercise of your rights. This is very dangerous. This bill now gets to decide if it is a right or not. They get to start being arbiters on the use of your constitutional affordments. The other is, can you operate any entity, be it public or private, without having certain rules and regulations as to disruption? Whether the disruption is for legitimate purpose or not, the question is, can you constantly operate in an open office, open to anybody? It's just a question of common sense, right? No, it's not. It doesn't seem that common to me that people should not want to serve the public, that they assault employees, and then they try and literally change the Constitution of the United States in Connecticut, whose very moniker is the Constitution State. Videotaping is common in town buildings, he said, pointing to many meetings that are recorded and live streamed for the public. But the videographers at those meetings are not disruptive to the operations of the meeting, Marcus said. These are people that are not questioning their government because under the First Amendment, there's 5 total components, and one of them is to redress your grievances. It's not that the YouTubers shouldn't be able to have access to the government, he said. It's how they do it. Like, this is, Rhonda, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but literally the city hall and the town council are saying you can have a First Amendment, but we're going to decide how you get to use it, when you get to use it, and ultimately if we just like you or not. You're on mute.
And whether it's legitimate, I'm pretty sure there's, and I'll look into this more, like, as I said, I didn't have a lot of time before this to pull up case law, but it seems to me that there's already a lot of case law written on this. And just like we spoke earlier, just like in Arizona, when they tried to put that law through about recording and being 8 feet away, and the Supreme Court there, the federal courts smacked that down as unconstitutional. I mean, that was less egregious than what Ridgefield and Pat Callahan, who I'm going to call tomorrow, are trying to do here. I don't see it standing. And as I said, I'm going to call Pat Callahan tomorrow and see what answers I can get, if any. I'm also going to FOIA, I don't know what it is in Connecticut, it's a FOIA here, but Rudy, and see whether there were bids to do the work at the town hall. So I'll keep you posted on that.
Excellent.
And I'm
That's
also going to
something I never
FOIA,
thought of.
or I'm going to FOIA the body cam footage, because I want to hear what Rudy and the police talked about when they went to see him, because the sergeant told me they will not press charges. They said there was no assault, even though it's on camera. And I want to hear if any deal was made or what it was. So I'll be giving updates about that as well.
And this is why I felt it was so important to have Rhonda here again, a selectman in the town of Sydney, Maine, because she's seeing something that we're not seeing. She has a totally different lens on, and that is from the eyes of government that's operating her municipality in the right way, talking about bids. So she wants to see because that wall went up pretty quickly, real quick, especially for the amount of money that they used from you, the taxpayers, to put that wall up. And as she's saying, she does this for a living. She's a select person, and you have to go through bids and see who gets back to you. And that can be somewhat of a long process. Rudy was able to bypass that pretty quickly, which is a great point brought up by Rhonda. And which video was that, Leroy? I know I have the timestamp. Which video was it? Was it the one where Rudy was yelling at you and hitting your camera?
That's when Rudy was yelling at me and literally chased me down like an animal when myself and Scalzo Photo were leaving the town hall after my interview. Very, quiet, very professional interview. And we're on the way out of the town hall when he literally chases us down, blocks us from leaving, and then accosts and assaults me and says what he.
Because this clip from the police officer that we're going to play is going to be.
By the way, that was very funny because he did I took it a different way when you put animal enclosure, whatever, is because he put up a barrier and enclosed his people within that area. So I thought he was calling, in a way, it made it seem as though his own people were animals, because it's true. You just don't do that.
They don't do that. And the thing is, he was doing it in his mind to protect his people from the public. But the only people that were ever accosted or assaulted were his employees toward the public. So it's really to protect us from him and anyone else who may be in that enclosure. Literally acted like animals.
And the police could not be more fake in this, because they were really good right at the beginning. But we're going to watch a clip of what they said then, and then what they say in this article. So obviously these guys can't figure out which foot is left or right. So they're figuring out that, people have a First Amendment right. They just have a checklist, and your First Amendment rights have to abide by their checklist, or you're not getting access to that building. There are certain places and certain circumstances where YouTubers don't have the right to make videos, according to Marcus. So he's saying that if you're a YouTuber, you don't have the right to make videos in a public building. And this has been pretty clear in case law. Certain case law has afforded that there is no difference between a mainstream $30,000 video camera and your cell phone camera right when you pull it out. And there's also case law explaining that you are media. The moment you put pen to paper, hit the record button, the moment you ask a public official a question and you plan to document that interaction, you are press. But this is another attempt by this bullshit fuckknuckle of a law firm who's trying to say what you can and cannot do. You have no rights. And this is the Constitution state. There are certain places and certain circumstances where YouTubers don't have the right to make videos. YouTubers can't videotape in the courthouse, where there is no place in the country, including here in the state of Connecticut, where the First Amendment right is more sacred. He said, similarly, in the Department of Motor Vehicles, they would not be granted permission to go behind the counter and video the clerk transacting business. First of all, Hayadusky, swallow this one on for size. I've been to like 100 Department of Motor Vehicles. I've always filmed, but this is this is an attempt by someone who's really stupid to come off as if they're really smart. So he's saying if you go to a DMV, you couldn't go behind the enclosed counter. So they should learn their lesson. We didn't go behind an enclosed counter. We went in a public office, public doors. If there's a place we can't go, we don't go. But this is another great example. And I'd love to see how much money this law firm is costing you guys.
Before you go on, Josh, one thing is this article is so incredibly skewed to one side, and it is not telling the truth, because the whole point of First Amendment auditing is we are taking photos and video in publicly accessible areas. Private areas we don't touch, and we always honor that. But they are distorting this so much, and it's so important that Josh, Rhonda, myself, so many of you who are on this live stream, to get the truth out there, because the mainstream media is going to do everything they can to villainize us and make us look like we are the ones doing the wrong thing, when in fact it is the public officials and the public employees doing the wrong thing. One last thing is this is bringing a tipping point to the work we're doing, because when they're trying to make laws literally to stop us from using the First Amendment, this is egregious constitutional problems here. So this will bring all of the auditors together as a community even more than ever, as well as all of our subscribers as well, to assure that our freedoms are respected and honored, not just for our generation, but for generations to come.
And it's not all mainstream media. Like I said, I was on the phone with Matt Caron today from Fox, and he's absolutely ardently against something like this, because and the way the interview started was he was like, what do you think about this law in Ridgefield if it was to pass? And I said, what? The law that restricts people from being able to have a voice, free press, where the government would have total control over you? And he said, yeah. I said, I just need to get used to it. I'll go on vacation to North Korea because it's the same principle, and I'll get used to how this is going to affect us. So YouTubers, so wonderful example that he's giving here. It's not respectful for YouTubers or anyone to show up unannounced and expect to be instantly serviced, he said. It's common courtesy to make an appointment, and town and state employees must be able to concentrate on their work, Marcus said. We don't go in and speak to people. They always come speak to us first. That's how we do everything. When we went to Rhonda's town hall, we didn't go in and talk to a damn person. We literally went in and conducted our business until someone else came and spoke to us. So they want you guys to make an appointment. You need to really be concerned for their feelings. And I don't know what weird Americans that are sitting watching this live stream right now, but I want you to forget your rights. I want you to flush them down the toilet and make sure they don't come back up when it gets clogged, because you need to give up your rights right this second so these public employees can have a really warm and just cozy feeling inside. How are we ever going to get people to work in municipal buildings if by coming to work in the morning, they expect that at a moment's whim, there'll be 5 or 10 people in their office making videotapes, he said. So notice how they're inflating these numbers to try and get a lot of draw behind them. You know, why would anyone come to work for the city if at any moment someone could come in and exhibit their rights? Let me tell you something. If you have a problem with Americans doing what Americans do, and that's exhibiting free rights, then this is not the place for you. And maybe you should expand your talent pool as far as employees go, or prospective employees, because it's pretty shallow at this point. But they have some training tips. And in comes Ridgefield Police Captain Jeff Rains. Now, before I read this part to you, I think it's very important that when Ridgefield Police Department was under fire, and they were looking really bad, very, very bad, this is what the same captain had to say. So let's look at what Jeff Rains had to say.
A non-aggressive manner. We try and be polite and let the staff know that, you know, we're not there to try and get them upset.
People have the right to go into any public place and film as much as they want.
He was saying, and I saw the interaction too.
Bingo.
So Jeff Rains said people have the right to go into any public place and say whatever and say and film whatever they want. There was a little bit more in depth to that interview where he went on to say that, you know, we serve the public and the public has these rights. And if people aren't used to it, they need to get up to date on it. So let's see what he has to say about this just 3 weeks later. Ridgefield Police Captain Jeff Rains calls the YouTubers out of control and said town employees should be trained on how to react to their visits. What we internally recommend is more training and making everybody aware of the First Amendment everywhere, in any public place, even in the lobby of the police department, the post office, the town halls, Rains said. Staff has to be aware not to react in a certain way to these people because that's what they're looking for. The YouTubers are pushing employees to the limit. Now, keep that in mind, guys. Us terrible people are pushing employees to the limit. We're really disrespectful. We don't have any rights. And then we go back 2 weeks.
Let the staff know that, you know, we're not there to try and get them upset.
People have the right to go into any public place and film as much as they want.
He was saying,
Well, there's a reason that he's changed his tune pretty quickly. Police did what police don't often do, and they charged Patricia Pacheco. And then to spit in the Ridgefield Police Department's face, prosecutor Steven Sedinsky decided to drop all charges, making them look really bad. So now we see the police officer, Dickhead Rains, do a little bit of about face. They try to push people over their limits to get a reaction out of them. And then that's what they use in the videos on their YouTube channel, Rains said. It's pretty odd because I have positive videos and I have one releasing Sunday, and I really suggest everyone watches. It's of the Sydney Town Hall, whose training and tutelage comes from Rhonda, who is a select person there. We don't decide what people do on camera. We just simply show it for what it is. And you know what? In fact, I wasn't going to do this because I never do this, but I think it's really important for me to do this. So what I'm going to do very, very quickly is I'm going to show you a quick clip of how your city officials could be acting. Okay. This is Rhonda's town hall. I'm going to give a sneak peek. I'm going to show you how public employees could be reacting. So,
and by the way, before you play it, Josh, is that all the camera does, everybody, is it just shows more of who they already are. If they're positive, if they're good people, it shows that. If they're not, it shows and magnifies that. And this is going to show Rhonda's staff here.
I have one thing to add real quickly. And like a lot of people are quick to complain, but people are never quick to give kudos. And I hope that when this video comes out, it will get as much attention for doing the right thing as all of those other towns get for doing the wrong thing.
Absolutely.
Good, very good point, Rhonda. Absolutely.
So, this just goes to show we don't just be jerks. We always try and this video will go to show what an excellent staff she has in. And she's calling me and she's explaining to me that, this is how I think should be. I don't think this behavior from some of these other officials you've seen is acceptable. So I said, let's put the test to the fire. Let's go into Rhonda's place and see how they do completely and totally unannounced. And this is what happened.
Oh, now I'm getting rubber bands.
With all the negative behavior we see from public officials and police, we have to give credit where credit's due when we meet employees that go above and beyond the call of duty. This is Mary and Desiree from the Sydney Town Hall in Sydney, Maine. This town hall is in such great shape because their selectman, Rhonda Schneider, has been doing excellent work making sure that these employees uphold your rights. Often we're accosted for the camera, and this time they played along with us and offered to take pictures. So for the law enforcement and public officials that are watching, take notice. This is how you treat the public that you serve.
Good afternoon.
Hello there.
Good. How are you? Good. Glad. Can we come in? All right. I just wanted to ask because it said employees only. How are you today?
Love you. Love.
I don't want to give too much away because I want everyone to go watch this video. But that is how, not what are you doing here? Why are you filming? And there's even a sign that says, no, you can't come in here, but they have nothing to hide. They welcomed us in. They were free to talk to us. They were wonderful. And in fact, I was trolled. I was trolled by Rhonda's staff. We took a selfie and I received a email from one of the ladies in the picture who sent me a FOIA request. And she said, Josh, just so you know, you did take a picture of us while you were in your capacity, and we're respectfully requesting to get a copy of that selfie. And I wrote like a smart comment back. Well, I do have up to 9 days to respond. That's how the behavior should be from public employees. And then you have on the flip side, Ridgefield. I have to take a quick break. I can only do it for about 30 seconds. But one of our longtime subscribers, members, he's also a moderator on our channel. He's been going through some tough times. He is the sole caregiver and provider for his mom, Edie. She's been absolutely going through it. And he's at a point now where he needs to possibly sell his vehicle and all this other stuff because she's not getting the assistance that she needs from the state and from elsewhere. And this kid is working full time, trying to support her. He's also giving money to channels left and right and really trying to balance out being an activist, a son, and a positive member of his community. Heather Holt, along with some other folks, is posting the link for a GoFundMe. And people forget that not just, myself or Rhonda or Leroy, we're not the only proponents of the First Amendment. A lot of it is the people behind the scene. We've spoken to Edie. She's an absolutely wonderful woman who's going through a tough time right now. And, we need to be able to band together as a community to come and back people up when they need it. We're not the government. We can't hit a red button and all of a sudden the troops flood in. The only thing we have for each other is ourselves. So if you guys would like to, the GoFundMe link is posted. Heather Holt just put it up. It's called Widow Eddie Jerkovic Needs Urgent Assistance. If you guys want to help out, I've personally vetted this cause. It is for real. If you guys would like to help, they've raised $5 to a $2,500 goal. It's going to be hard for him to take his mom where she needs to go so he can sell his car so that way she can continue to get the assistance and medications that she needs. So if you guys want to help, of course, be really appreciative of that. Let's get back to Rudy Marconi being an absolute fuck knuckle. He advises against having a negative reaction to the YouTubers. You either talk to them, you ignore them, you do whatever. You go in your way, Rain said. They're just looking to get somebody to snap. Wow. That's great. So not only are you restricting our First Amendment rights, telling us that you're the arbiter of where our rights do or do not exist, but now, because you looked bad, instead of standing your ground when you did the right thing, you turn yourself into a bad cop and walk around saying, we're just trying to get people to snap. We just showed a video of a great interaction with town employees. My camera is the Abilify of activism. That's all it is. If you don't know what Abilify is, it's the prescription medication that enhances the effects of other medications that you're taking. My camera is the Abilify of activism. I just simply shine it on someone and they show themselves for who they truly are, which is most of the times animals. Like Rains, Kevin Maloney, Director of Communications and Member Relations with the Connecticut Conference of Municipalities, said the CCM is providing guidance to municipalities to help them respond responsibly to YouTubers' requests for information. At the same time, the CCM is ensuring they protect the interest of towns and town employees in trying to get the normal course of business done. Notice that, guys. They are protecting towns, the interests of towns and town employees, which is funny because the town and its employees and the municipalities and the government serve you, but their sole purpose and principle is to ensure the interests of the town and its employees, no one else. Maloney suggests that YouTubers set up appointments to speak with town officials to get what they need. Under this new law, you will have to set up an appointment if you want to go in a public building. The town officials can then prepare themselves and do the appropriate back research that's going to be more useful to a good, thoughtful response. Now, let's keep in mind, guys, it's an audit, okay? If you're cheating on your taxes and you're doing the wrong thing, you think that the IRS is going to say, hey, Rhonda, Leroy, listen, noticed about $70,000 has been missing. We plan on coming down on Tuesday the 13th at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 7 Central, and we're going to be going through these specific books. Oh, no, because that'd be fucking stupid, just like Rudy and the rest of Ridgefield. Not talking about the citizens, even though the citizens don't matter, according to Rudy. I'm talking about the town, the town's employees, and all the interest therein. That wouldn't make sense because you're not going to, they're going to hide. They're going to hide. It's an audit. Our job is to go in and gauge the reaction of these employees to make sure that they are respecting our rights. But under this new law, you would need to set up an appointment. And this is written by Karen Fox, Karen Diamond Fox. Did I get that right, Rudy? Karen Diamond Fox.
Karen Diamond Fox. Her name has absolutely officially been changed.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's Sandra Diamond Fox. Well,
I think she changed it.
We don't want to see this continue to happen. And, Leroy and Rhonda, they will soon be peers, as is Rhonda with Kim Jong Marconi, because Rudy's wrong for Ridgefield. And Leroy Truth Investigations is for a better Ridgefield. So the best way to beat these guys is in the ballot boxes, and that's what Leroy is going to be doing. We got a lot of stuff in the pipe, Leroy. You guys will notice, I won't give you any information, but idforwhat.com, domain name gone. ID the number for what, domain name gone. 1776university.com, gone. There was someone in the chat who is oh my God, Northfield, Korea. How did we not come up with that? Oh my
perfect.
God, that's awesome. So we got a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline.
Hellacious J has been
Hellacious J
offering help. Yeah.
And we want to, it's not just here. As soon as we're done here, we're going to send you to Denver Metro Audits because he's going through the same thing. They tried to put up a policy. They didn't even pass a law. It was a policy. And then they got arrested. And then they challenged it. And a 45-minute meeting wound up going for over 4.5 hours. And everyone there was disinterested. And then I did a video and I reached out to some of the activists that I know. And we had Bay Area Transparency, Long Island Audits, James Freeman, Lackluster, Nasty Nathaniel, J-Town Press, Firm. We had everybody in there because that's how this community comes together in the response for tyranny. Because when the people fear the government, there is tyranny. But when the government fear the people, there is liberty. And we need a much heavier dose of liberty, because the tree of liberty is refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants, and one more sacrifice from a patriot is unnecessary, will not happen. However, the guy from Fox News asked me, so what happens? They put up this law. What are we doing? What's going to happen? I said, I'm going to call all my friends and we're going to show up there. He's like, even if you're breaking a law? I said, I can't be. Any law that abridges the Constitution is unconstitutional. And I have the ability and the duty as an American citizen, as a free American, someone engaging in their God-given, inalienable, and protected rights, to resist that tyranny at every cost. So yes, I will absolutely go up there. Now, Rhonda, what is your suggestion? What would you do? I mean, I can't say what would you do because you would never be in this situation. But if Kim Jong Marconi called you up on the phone tomorrow and said, Rhonda, you're a selectman, you're doing things the right way, what do I do?
I'd tell him to do the opposite of what he's doing now. Be welcoming, be professional. I've seen, I've watched a lot of First Amendment audit videos, and there's some real a-holes out there. I'll be honest. And they go in and they push buttons on purpose. But most of you, like you and Leroy, will go in there. They'll watch quietly. They'll take video, and the only time they talk to someone is if someone comes up to them. And Josh, I've seen with you, the only time you aren't super friendly and polite is when people come at you with an attitude and they've shown that they don't respect you or what you're doing, and you respond in kind. And I don't think that there's a problem with that. No, I'm a fighter. You'll see if people go to my channel, one of the hearings I posted, this is a total non sequitur, but I had done investigative journalism on this roofing scammer who was stealing money from particularly old folks. I started investigating him in June 2021. I got about 18 victims that were all over different places of Maine. There were so many different victims in so many different places. It was switched to the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General indicted him in January of 2022. July, he then violated conditions of his bond, which were pretty easy to keep, like don't start a new roofing business and take money from people, but he did that. And they put out a bench warrant for him. He then was supposed to have a trial for hearing for revocation of his bond, and he switched it to a Rule 11 hearing, and he pled guilty. And he glared at me the whole hearing. And I feel like I want to put $1 a week in his commissary just so he can remember me, just because I'm evil like that. But yeah, he's doing the exact wrong thing, and this. I mean, people have to have standing to fight this law if it ever becomes a law, and the only way you get standing is for them to violate your rights, and then you just go from there. Everybody has to fight, and if you do go to Ridgefield again, let me know. I'll come with you.
You know what? That's absolutely great. I would love to bring a select person with me.
Absolutely.
Now, again, this is Maine Journal News, and like I said, she's the unicorn. Is Rhonda here? Rhonda is the unicorn for selectmen and politicians, because it's just it's very odd to see, because we don't see it that often, that you have a first selectman who refuses to take a salary. By the way, Rudy's is close to $200,000. He spent $1 million in a matter of minutes. He spent $1 million on a sidewalk, $200,000 to build walls to keep you out. We're going to do a FOIA request to see how much he spent on these lawyers, but I'm imagining that's in excess of $50,000, just my understanding of how these operations work. And he makes $200,000 a year. That's Rudy Jong Marconi of Ridgefield. And then you get Rhonda, who refuses to take a salary so that money can be reinvested back into her community. She's treating people the right way. She also has a legal background, and she's a journalist. And those results from her journalism have got real traction and real results. She's really getting bad people off the street. That's what a select person does. They serve their community, and she takes it way beyond the office. She takes it to the street to use her ability as an independent journalist to find these terrible people, catch them in what they're doing, and enrich the community from both inside and outside the town hall. And the only thing Rudy can focus on right now is trying to figure out how he can restrict your rights. And this is a behavior that needs to stop.
He's also trying to, you know, I think I recall at some point, and I don't know what video it was in or one of the interviews it was in, where he said he was taking heat from other elected officials. And
Yeah.
I think he's trying to save face and not make himself look as bad, but he's failing. He's not doing a very good job at that.
No, he keeps making the story bigger.
I know.
This would have been nothing if when I went back to Ridgefield, Rhonda, is that if nothing happened, it would have been nothing. It would have been, it's a pleasant interview. We've got a few places where I held him to account on some things he said. It would have got a few thousand views. And it would have been a blip in the radar. But just like when Josh visited, it would have been, a nice, pleasant video if that person hadn't assaulted Josh. And here's one thing from my interview that I got is he had said he agreed that she shouldn't have apologized. And
I saw that.
That is so fucked up.
But then he flipped. Then later on, once the heat is on and he was looking really bad politically, he said, right. "Oh, that wasn't right for that to happen. Now it was wrong for me to do what I did. If I had done the same thing, then there's a problem with it." We have a serious problem in the world today, folks, when someone and let's be honest, Rudy didn't win by that wide of a margin last time. Okay. And he lost to someone that is completely withdrawn from the political realm. Okay. He's been in office for 30 years. How much money has this guy wasted? How much of what he's wasted has disappeared? And now he thinks that his coup de grace is going to be to restrict your rights. I submit that it's not. I'm going to read some super chats real quick, and then I'm going to be sending you guys over. Make sure you subscribe to Main Journal News. And this isn't a problem that's just affecting me here, what I'm doing. I mean, I'm taking phone calls from Fox News asking what the hell's wrong with this guy. It's a problem when mainstream media thinks Rudy Marconi's a fuck knuckle. But let's go to Denver Metro Audits. He should be starting in just a second. So here he is. It's upcoming. While we're waiting for this to get ready to roll, I got a minute to read these super chats. AQI Audit says, there he is, the future first selectman of Ridgefield, Connecticut. Smash the like button, folks. It's Lee effin' Roy Truth. Rhonda Slice says, well, when we be in Fox, I will let everyone know when the interview drops. He will let me know. Hellacious J for $1.99. Thank you. Says, I'm a software engineer. How can I help? Reach out to me on theafacrew@gmail.com and we'll get in touch. AQI Audit said, sub to you, Rhonda, for $2. Everyone needs to sub to Rhonda. Karen Oaks Branch didn't take biology in high school, Leroy. In high school, Rudy, we're all animals. Scalzo Photo, Newsbreak, $10. Just got out of third day of LIA's Danbury trial about if Sean's camera forced staff against their will to create a disturbance. World's longest $90 infraction trial. Video in near future. Scalzo also says for $5, I plan on filming and losing money. Can I film in Ridgefield? Absolutely, as long as losing money is in the equation. Hellacious J also said, Josh, I'm a software engineer by trade. I want to build software for the auditing community so we can expose these tyrants. Collab. Absolutely. Reach out on me. That's perfect timing. Leroy and I have something very big in the mix.
Yes.
Call me too. I need help.
Scalzo Photo for another $5. You're free to use the First Amendment right of speech and press anywhere the government can ignore you. That's wow. You are free to use the First Amendment right of speech and press anywhere the government can ignore you. That is something else. Leroy, Rhonda, last words before we close up shop here.
The last words I have is transparency is key. And that's why we do these audits. Like you have San Joaquin transparency, Bay Area transparency, Aurora transparency. What we do is to hold the light of transparency on government, to hold them accountable. We have to make sure this law doesn't pass, but any laws that are unjust, as Thomas Jefferson said, if a law is unjust, a man is not only right to disobey it, he is obligated to do so.
Okay, absolutely. My final word is it's not difficult to respect one's First Amendment or constitutional rights. Some people take themselves way too seriously. We have, our town has very few ordinances. We don't tell people how they should live every aspect of their life. We also, I hate to admit this because we'll probably have a lot of people moving here, has one of the lowest mill rates in the state because we're very careful with how we spend other folks' money. And it's lighten up, people. It's not going to kill you to have a camera in your building.
No, it won't.
You know what? I really have to implore people. You have to, if you're in Maine and you're in the Sydney area, drop in, say hi to her, say hi to the staff, because these are the people that we need in government. If I'll tell you one thing, if Rhonda replaced Rudy, there would be a better Ridgefield, and now we'll just have Leroy do it. If everyone could please go to Denver Metro Audits. He's giving an update on Sheridan about how they lied and about his issue with very much the same thing, where he was arrested, assaulted, and held captive simply because he had the gall to film in a public building. So I'd like everyone to go over to Denver Metro Audits. And when you get in the chat, let them know that it's an AFA raid and AFA sent you. It's important that we stay on top of this stuff. All eyes are on these people. So I want everyone to go over to DMA. Let me check it and see if it's gone up yet.
I've been following the Sheridan show too.
Please subscribe to Leroy Truth Investigations as well. Love to see you there.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Let me show Leroy what Leroy's channel looks like before we, I mean, I think all you guys know what it looks like, but I'm going to take you there anyways because I'm a tyrant and I run this shit. This is Leroy's channel. Make sure you go to Leroy. Set the bell notification for always. There's even some funny stuff in there. You got to check him out. He's the absolute real deal. We appreciate all you guys being here. Go to Denver Metro Audits right now. Tell them AFA sent you. Again, thank you to the members, moderators, everyone that's been watching and participating and following the story. Thank you to Leroy Truth Investigations for reaching out to me in the first place and being an absolute gentleman. And first and lastly, but foremost, thank you so much to Rhonda from Maine Journal News, the selectman of Sydney, Maine, because if every single government employee acted the way that she acted and trained their staff the way that she trains her staff, it would be the American dream. It would be that old feel America. And that's what happens when you walk in Sydney. It's like you're back in the 1940s in America where everyone had each other's back. Businesses were booming. And even though it was a big country, you had that small sense of community. If every single community acted like that and every single community had a Rhonda instead of a Rudy, then we'd be in much better shape. We'll catch you in the next one. And that's the reason I stopped you.